Welcome to the hospitality room. Bobby Swofford, Blair Cartwright with you, presented by Mascot Media. Been a while, Mr. Swofford. How are you?
It has been. We were a little busy last week, so
Just a
apologies
little.
for the no show last week. But we're here. We're ready
Yes.
to attack the summer, hopefully.
Man, last week, I can only imagine. It was busy on your end. You had all the
Hmm.
championships. Uh, you had everybody had kids graduate. Last week was
Yeah.
insane. I don't know how any of us made it through that with graduation and championships. That is a lot
Hmm.
going on. And if you've got a kid in the championship who's graduating, you've got to be exhausted this week.
Yeah, yeah. I don't have a lot of energy. I mean, it's Thursday, and the weekend can't get here fast enough, to be honest. Obviously, we were over there at University of Central Arkansas on Wednesday, setting everything up, and then 3 days of championships. And oh, by the way, on Sunday we went back for another championship that got rained out
Yes.
or lightninged out on Friday. So no weekend for me, no downtime, and it's actually been a pretty busy week. Just trying to, put a bow on the spring sports season and try to get ready going for the summer because most people don't understand that my job is to make sure that everybody's school on all their paperwork's good and the
Hmm.
platform that they use. It's called Dragonfly. It's a cuss word here in Arkansas.
Yes.
But obviously, so
Unfortunately.
now that the school is over and the seasons are over for everybody, now they've turned the page. They're ready for next year, and so
Yes.
they're trying to get all their information in. So that there's no off season for that. So I'm ready for a break. But we can relive last week at least for a few more minutes, and then we can officially turn the page to the 24 season.
All right, we'll do that first. Let's just go right to our headlines. It was state championship week in Conway, and I'll tell you what, given how the weather was last week,
Yeah.
I, you had the one game got postponed, but that was it.
Hmm.
The way the week
And people were
started, that
calling,
didn't look possible.
yeah, and people were calling for it's like, oh my gosh, you got to move all these games, you got to postpone them, you got to cancel them, and then only one
Yeah,
game was affected. How about
yeah,
that? It's funny
amazing.
how those weathermen and baseball players have a lot in common. They fail 70% of the time, but they're still considered good.
I know we got in the wrong side of
We
television. We
did.
should have got into
We
weather
really did.
and not sports, and it pays better and less hours. But
Hmm.
anyway, but a great week of
Yeah.
championships.
Yeah.
I don't know if you even can get the viewership, but I can only imagine.
Yeah.
People were watching with the baseball and the softball again on Arkansas PBS. Great job with that. It was just a lot of compelling games, and the soccer was on the NFHS network.
Hmm.
A lot of championship games, and everything seemed to go without a hitch.
Yeah, I mean, it was a really successful weekend. We actually, as attendance-wise, in person, it was our largest weekend of champions since 2018.
Awesome.
So the numbers have steadily gone up since we moved to UCA a couple years ago. They've upticked by a little bit, almost about it was about 9% more attendance in
Hmm.
Conway than we had when previous stop and was in Benton. So the interest is there. It's not a perfect world. I mean, there's going to be some games like the game that you called, which we're going to talk about that game in just a minute. When you've got two Northwest Arkansas teams, have to travel down to Central Arkansas, or you got two Northeast Arkansas schools. I mean, that's going to attendance. Our softball matchups, as good as they were,
Hmm.
weren't great for in-person attendance because they had to travel so far. You're talking about Bentonville versus Springdale Harbor in softball. That's a long way to drive for the casual fan. The dedicated fan is going to make that trip, but the casual
Hmm.
fan is going to sit back and watch it on TV. Hackett versus Lincoln in the 3A softball. Again, a long way to travel. The 4A game, the one that you called, Farmington P. Ridge, a
Yeah.
long way to travel for one game at 10 a.m. So it's the softball was really down this year as far as in-person attendance because of those things. But also we got really lucky in the 5A that Sheridan and Benton, and I posted a picture of it on social media. Unreal, like the
Hmm.
berm full. We thought there was over 2,000 people
Wow.
at that game for a 5A softball championship. So it was really cool. Baseball attendance was good. Soccer attendance was really good, like it always is. We had some really good matchups over there. All in all, a great weekend. And there's not enough kudos to go around to Arkansas PBS and the crew at UCA is second to none.
Yes.
Honestly, the job that they have done makes our job at the AAA so much easier putting those events on. And 99.9% of the calls were correct. And I have to say this. And you laugh because for those who don't know,
Yeah.
I called the game in which Blair was behind the plates, the
Yes.
4A state
And
softball championship game.
yeah.
And I will admit, Blair, you did an outstanding
Oh
job.
well,
I did
thank you.
there was not one call that I said, oh, that was questionable. You and your crew did an excellent job.
Oh well, thank you. I appreciate that. We took a lot of pride in that. I'll tell you what, it was interesting because I'd never called a state championship game
Hmm.
before, and then it's two teams from the area in which I call games,
Right.
which is comforting and not because
I know your name.
you know them and you
Yeah.
respect them immensely. Coach Reynolds and Coach Shirey, think the world of those two gentlemen,
Yeah.
outstanding coaches, and it's like, man, I got to be on my game because I don't want to cost somebody a state championship.
Yeah.
So it's funny, everybody yells at you, call it both ways and whatever. I mean, it's not like you have a little thing. Okay, who's up here? Okay, my strike zone's going to
Hmm.
move to the left. No,
Yeah.
but
Right.
it's some pressure. I'll tell you what,
Yeah.
it was fun though. I'll tell you, and the interesting thing, as opposed to any other game we officiate or umpire during the year, is the breaks
Yeah.
because you're used to just
On
okay, plate
TV.
meeting, boom, we'll go, we're not on TV, we don't
Hmm.
have to hold up. In a way that helps because then you can
Okay.
kind of control your breathing a little bit. um, I thought I was going to throw up in the first inning. I didn't feel nervous, but all of a sudden my stomach starts rumbling, and I'm like, oh my God, I can't do this on TV. Bobby will
Yeah.
kill me. So, I mean, it was fun. It was a good game. Had a lot of fun, and I'll tell you what, it's a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
Everybody thinks it's easy, but there's a lot of pressure because
It
again, you
is.
you don't want to be the deciding factor when everybody's
Hmm.
gonna go, oh, there's the guy that cost us the state championship. So
Yeah. Yeah, no, I thought you guys did a great job. And if you want to go back and watch and critique Blair's performance behind the plate, it's on PBS. It's on PBS's YouTube channel. So
oh
just go to
yeah,
youtube.com/Arkansas
yeah.
PBS.
And all
But
all
no,
the all the championship games that were televised are on YouTube, correct?
yeah, and it probably didn't make your job any easier. And we can wrap up championship week with this.
Yeah.
It didn't make your job any easier. Like you walk into the ballpark, you've obviously had a long ride, and the first person that you've got to talk to is me. Like I'm
No,
sitting
that's
there waiting
fine.
on, I'm chomping at the bit to waiting on you. He's like, hey, this is how this is going to run today,
No, that's good
I
to
you know
know.
I am the go between the officials and essentially the timing of the game and
Hmm.
television and PBS, and so I hammer it into to you and to every officiating crew, umpiring crew that's there. Say, hey, this is how it's going to go. You're going to want to start at 10:01. We're not starting until 10:05,
Yeah.
and we have to
No.
like hold it up, and that's how TV is made.
No, and that's good. And um, it reminded me of calling or not calling, but covering the Razorbacks in football bowl games because,
Hmm.
as you know, those commercial breaks. Oh my God, the CarQuest Bowl I think had a 10-minute commercial window
Yeah.
between every series. So at least we didn't have little kids throwing pennies at us like we did in Miami. But yeah, it was fun. I'll tell you what, the sandwiches. I don't know where y'all got those from or
Hmm.
UCA got them from. Oh, those were incredible. That turkey sandwich with the avocado. Wow. It was
Worth the
wonderful.
3 hour drive, huh? So
Oh my gosh,
we don't have
yes.
it in the we don't have it in the budget for the guy who walks onto the field with the giant clock yet, like the red hat doing college football. But
Yeah.
maybe next year, maybe we could put that in the budget for next year.
Yeah. It's got a sponsorship written all over it, I think.
Yeah, I'm with you. But hey, kudos, job well done, Blair.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you. I did watch the broadcast. Y'all were great. Uh,
Oh, they
as,
finally gave me
as
something to talk
always,
about.
yeah, I mean, it's like, well, for a moment there, you probably didn't think, you're probably going, I don't know what else we can talk about, but then
Hmm.
P. Ridge got
Yeah,
it going. So, I mean, it was quite the dramatic finish. It was
yeah,
one final thing. I wore my Apple Watch since the heart attack to keep up with everything.
right.
Right after they cut it to 6.5, I went back and looked. My heart rate jumped to 130.
Wow,
I was at like 80 and
that's
90, and
cool.
then boom, and it's like, here we go. And
Yeah,
I just thought that was kind of interesting. So,
yeah.
and then it came back
That is
down.
interesting. Yeah, because I mean, it only lasted for one pitch. I mean, they
Yeah.
hit the 3 run homer at 6-5. We're like, oh my gosh, here we go, and first
Yes.
pitch swing and fly out to end the game.
Yeah. I mean,
So
it's wild. I mean, yeah. I thought that was kind of
yeah,
interesting. So,
it's cool. It
all,
was a cool weekend.
yeah,
Yeah,
it was indeed. All right. Our next headline. Oh, for Hoover, and I can't spell Hoover, obviously, but
whoever.
whoever Hey, I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, it's one of those tournaments, but down 6-0, they did score,
Hmm.
cut it 6-4, made it interesting. I kind of like the fact, you could listen to a baseball game in the morning,
Yeah.
but they've lost 4 of the last 5.
Yeah.
Didn't win the series at A&M. Smith gets his first loss of the year. Tiger gives up a home run. Finally pitches though.
Hmm.
I don't know. Is Should we be
Yeah.
worried or not? Because it's going to be a week before they play again.
Yeah. Is there reason to be concerned? Certainly. And you and I have talked about it a couple times. Just the way that this team is built and are playing right now, there's cause for concern because they don't hit very well. They don't hit with runners
No,
on base. They don't move runners over. And they haven't showed a willingness or an ability to adjust yet. And I'm saying yet because obviously there's a lot that can happen. Um, they get runners on, and Aloy is swinging for the fence instead of
hmm
trying to move some runners over. It's the approach at the plate that I feel like, and I'm not going to be the first person to say this because I know I've heard it and I've certainly read it in a bunch of group texts. Um, Nate
yeah,
Thompson's days are going to be numbered at Arkansas. The approach at the plate, you got to feel like they're going to try something different
hmm
because it's not working. You can't go out there and squander the best pitching staff the program's ever seen, which is saying something, by the way.
yes,
Statistically, I'm talking, start to finish rotation, top to bottom, as good as they've been. You can't waste that. Is there cause concern the way that they played this week? I don't know. I mean, I don't think Hagen Smith was getting more than 2 or 3 innings today anyway. I think that was
yeah,
the max. And the defense boots 2 balls. They're both unearned, I believe. So I mean, so he gets his first loss of the season in which he doesn't give up an earned run. DVH said on the end game broadcast that he was fine.
hmm
Tiger, you'd like to see pitch a little better. Gage Wood, you'd like to see him pitch a little better. The score I think it will end up being what 9-6. I think was the final 9-5.
yeah, yeah. But
They
it never,
scored a couple
yeah,
runs, but it's not enough. Yeah, obviously yesterday was left some to be desired from the pitching staff that lose 6-5.
hmm
I don't know. It all depends. I mean, I guess that's what it's all the draw. If they get Central Connecticut State rolling in here, you're not going to be concerned with yourself in game one. If Oral Roberts or a Dallas Baptist type, I'm not saying those teams specifically this year, but those types that can sneak up and bite you at any given time regionally in the Missouri State from about a decade ago,
hmm
there might be a cause for concern. And of course, Arkansas fans are already hitting the panic button that oh my gosh, we're going to get the hottest team in the country is going to come in here as a 2 seed. And whoever that is. And I haven't paid attention to the bracketology
Some
leading
say
up into it.
Texas.
But yeah, so if Texas rolls in here, guess what? You got some work cut out for you. Like was it TCU last year, year before when
Yeah,
Arkansas didn't even make it out of the regional?
yeah.
Yeah, there's some issue there. There's some cause for concern, but it's still Arkansas. You still got Hagen Smith going in, on the weekend, likely game 1 or 2. Especially then if you find a way to get to a super, I mean, you still got really really good pitching.
It's going to be tough to get out of the regional. Listening today, one thing noticeable listening to Phil and Bubba was the fact that they thought Hagen was throwing 92, maybe max, instead of 94,
Mhm.
96, 100, that his pitches didn't have the oomph they normally do. They wondered about that, and
Yeah,
they were a little concerned. So if they're concerned, fans are going to be concerned. So you wonder, what was going on there. I The offense finally did score. I mean, good lord, you don't want to not score and then on your way out of town. You do
hmm
have a week, and as we know, ball is crazy. What you did this week means absolutely nothing next week. They could come out and hit
correct.
800 next week at the regional, or they could hit 180 like they did at the College World Series and almost win a national championship. I don't know what to I don't know what to think, but they are not. They don't have a lot of momentum going into the regional. Then you're
Mm-mm.
hosting. Then with that brings pressure. If a team's struggling offensively, I don't know if the pressure of hosting a home regional is going to help. I almost worry it's going to make it worse in some
Yeah, it's. I
regards.
mean, you mentioned it. They've lost 4 or 5 now.
Mm-hmm.
Granted, they lost 2 to Texas A&M, which is going to be a top 4 national seed.
Yeah.
Today they lost to Kentucky, which is going to be a top 4 national seed.
Mm-hmm.
And then yesterday they lost to South Carolina, who likely going to be in the tournament. So it's not
Yeah.
like they lost to you and me and the
Yeah.
Beer League Bears out there.
Yeah.
So again, you don't want to lose 4 or 5 going into it. I get it. But I mean, what are they going to fall to? Like, if the committee says, "Oh, this
Yeah.
team's really struggling," they're going to fall to 6. I mean, they're still going to be have a pretty favorable matchup, not only
Yeah.
in the regional but also in the super.
Hmm. Well, as long as you're top 8, you're hosting super if you get out.
Correct.
So that's not an. And I also wonder too, because we see this with the committees. How much weight do you really put in a conference tournament? Because you've played,
Correct.
50 something games. It's kind of like your courses in college. My son and I were talking about this. Okay, you've done all this work all semester, and then you're going to take a final, and that's 25% of your grade. It's like, and that totally
Hmm.
negates the other 3 4 months we've been doing. So I don't know, how much emphasis do you put on a conference tournament, which is a total crapshoot.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm trying to search for the projections.
Last I saw,
But I
we
mean,
were
so you look
five.
at yeah. I mean, like I'm trying to think. Okay, who is a realistic number 2 or a number 3 or 4 that's going to show up in Fayetteville? And so like D1 baseball,
Probably
I always
Texas.
kind of
Yeah,
call the gospel.
yeah,
Yeah, and so you say it's Texas, but of
I
course, I
think
mean,
so.
there's more teams that are going to be in the regional. So you got Texas, Troy, St. Louis. I mean,
Yeah.
let's be real about that. I mean, if the committee can send Texas here, they're going to do it. If they can send an
Oh.
Oklahoma here in a super regional, they're going to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Just like with softball, we never touched on that. We knew that Arkansas was going to get paired up with Oklahoma State or Oklahoma as going to be the super regional, and it happens. Arkansas
Mm-hmm.
obviously didn't get out of it, but I don't know. I mean, say you beat was it St. Louis in game one, and all of a sudden you've got Hagen Smith going on a Saturday night against Texas and Baum. Guess
Mm-hmm.
what? You feel pretty good about your chances. Feel pretty good about yourself going into that contest.
You would think so, but you just never know. I mean, ball is crazy and unpredictable, so we'll see. Van Horn did meet with the team afterwards. They said on the radio a little longer than he has normally. So who knows what the message is,
Mm-hmm.
but they got a week to figure it out. They don't have to worry about school. They can just kind of hang out. We'll see. We'll see. It'll be interesting to say the least. All right. The other ball team on campus, well, that's not the right headline. Postseason began. It's already ended. The softball team, 1-2 in the home regional. I don't think anybody saw that coming.
Yeah, and honestly, they were lucky to win the one. I mean, they struggled against SEMO. They didn't move runners around. I know they scored was it 3 late. They won that game 3-2, 4-2, whatever the final was. Just
Yeah.
again, our Arkansas softball is knocking on the door, and until they actually do something worth noting, it's gonna take some time, and that means beating a good team in your regional. Sometimes Arizona's a team that they've had problems with. You mentioned it last week or
Yeah.
the week before last.
The
That
Dragon.
they got smoked in the yeah they got smoked in the Super a couple years ago. I mean, and when you get beat by SEMO, when you get beat by Villanova, like those are games you can't lose. I mean, not
Hmm.
obviously they beat SEMO, but you can't lose to Villanova on your home field. Like and that's stuff that can't happen. I know this team was expected to take a step back this year. They didn't. They were still
Hmm.
hosting a regional, and no matter what the expectations were before the season starts, if you're hosting a regional and those are your opponents, you got to get the job done, and they didn't do it.
I almost wonder if they're at the point where they'd be better off going on the road and
Mm-hmm.
just avoiding the distraction of hosting, because now there's this pressure on them to get to Oklahoma. Well, the pressure obviously is just to get to the Super, but then to get to Oklahoma
Right.
City. I mean, it's just going to hang over them, and it's almost like would they be better off just going out of town, eliminating the noise, and just playing
Mm-hmm.
ball?
Yeah, I mean, they don't do it this way, but I mean, it's almost like they need the selection committee to do them a favor and say, "Hey, we get it. You play in the SEC. You finished say fifth or sixth in the conference.
Hmm.
You deserve to be ranked in the top 15. But hey, you're going to be ranked number 17. We're going to send you on the road."
Yeah.
Uh, I mean, unfortunately, because of the league that they play in, and they're still a pretty good program, they're going to be hosting more times than not. I mean, no matter what they do in years past, the committee's supposed to look only at this year, but they
Hmm.
need the committee to say, "Hey, you've really struggled hosting. Maybe you don't. Maybe you're not to that level. You go on the road this time."
What's going to be interesting moving forward with the SEC expanding, now you bring Texas and Oklahoma, which by the way were
Hmm.
like the number one and number two overall seed,
Yeah.
into this conference. So it's
Yeah.
like, oh my gosh, it's
Hmm.
just it just gets that much harder. So
Well, what's going to be almost impossible moving forward now with what's going to be with the SEC is not putting two SEC schools in the same regional.
yeah, oh,
I
without
mean,
question, yeah.
because you're probably talking 11 hosts. Don't have it in front of me. How many hosts in the SEC or in the regional were from the SEC or OU in Texas? 10 of them? 11 of them?
At least, yeah. I mean,
Yeah. So
everybody in the
you're
league that has softball made the tournament.
yeah. And so now you're
So
talking about you're not going to be able to double dip. You're running out of places to send SEC schools
yeah.
as a two seed.
Well, and the interesting thing too, thought occurred to me is we like to go down rabbit holes here with the Big Ten expanding and the SEC expanding, and we're it almost is going to be a super conference between those two.
Hmm.
It's for baseball and softball. You, you get to the postseason, everybody will have played. I mean, how do you get
Yeah.
fresh matchups at that
Yeah.
point
I mean,
in the
well, I mean, yeah, I
postseason?
mean, because you've got USC and UCLA, and the two
Yeah.
schools up the northwest joining the Big Ten. They're automatically going to be the best softball programs in the
Hmm.
conference.
Oh, and
As
they'll
soon as they
elevate
step
the
foot,
rest. Yeah.
yeah, as soon as they step foot in that league, they're going to be UCLA is going to be the best team in the Big Ten. No, you're exactly right. It's going to be stale, but college football has kind of got to that point anyway. Like
Hmm.
now with OU and Texas going to be in the SEC, those prime time, that OU Alabama bowl game that we've been craving for. Guess what? We're
Yeah.
going to see it every third year now.
But the nice thing about football is that they're only playing what, 8 conference games, which that's going to have to
Hmm.
change amongst 16 teams. So you don't get those matchups. But with baseball and softball, they're playing constantly. They play
Yeah.
more games, so you have more conference games. So we'll see. We'll see. It'll be
Yeah.
interesting. But our next headline is the league that's got it figured out, the NFL. The schedule's released. They're playing every day of the week, literally. Is
Yeah.
this good or bad? I'm kind of torn. And then we see the Pac 12, or not Pac 12, but the Big Ten announces yesterday they're going to play games on Friday. I mean, is
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if this is a good thing. I think the NFL. I mean, I get where the NFL's coming from. They're getting money. I mean, good lord, Amazon is giving them
Hmm.
150 million for 2 games on Christmas,
Yeah.
and it's going to cost $800 to watch all these NFL games on all the various streaming platforms. I mean, they're
So that's
everywhere.
true. So
Oh, is it
they're
not?
giving you false information. No, they're giving you false information with
False
that. But
information. Okay.
yeah, so what I'm going to start with is it good that they're playing every day of the week? Uh, I would say no this year. In
Mm-hmm.
years past, yes. The fact that Christmas is on a Tuesday is why they should have said no.
Yeah.
They shouldn't be playing on Tuesday. Plain and simple. If the game's on a Monday, it's on a Thursday, it's on a Friday, go at it.
Mm-hmm.
But see now because when you play on Tuesday, you're affecting multiple weeks. It doesn't make sense to me. I know that they said that the teams that are going to be playing on that Tuesday would have played the previous Thursday or something. So like the
Yeah.
days off are going to like kind of work out. I guess doesn't make sense. But college football playing on Friday shouldn't happen.
Yep.
College football is building their product again on one on transfers, but two on high school athletes that are going to
Yes.
eventually become college football players. So now
Mm-hmm.
you're playing on Friday night, but you're not going to have recruits on campus because they're going to be playing their own game.
Yep.
People who love football are going to be at a high school football game or doing something in their community. So leave Friday nights alone. The NFL having Friday night in week one in Brazil, okay, it's a novelty. NFL's not
Mm-hmm.
going to play on Friday nights. College football has to avoid Fridays. And
Mm-hmm.
It's Fox's problem. They're doing it. They're wanting those TV windows to be on Friday nights. I get it. It's dumb.
Yep.
Pac-12 did it. Now the Big Ten's doing it. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So the third one, you said how much it's going to cost to watch the entire NFL season.
Yeah.
That's assuming that you have a subscription to a cable provider or YouTube TV. You don't
Oh,
have
okay.
to have YouTube TV to get the Sunday ticket. You can buy it a la carte. I did here.
Mm-hmm.
So that they think it's like, oh my gosh, you got to pay $70 a week or a month, and then you got to pay the four
Oh,
hundred
I
dollars
see.
for that. It's
Yeah.
not true.
Okay. Yeah,
So
because you
you
can
can
get the
get the
Sunday ticket for what?
Yeah, I
Half
mean,
that?
if you buy it really early, you can get it for like 350, I think.
Okay, yeah. So okay,
Yeah,
so
so you
that's
don't have to have the
negated.
subscription, and they're also talking about if you want to watch the games on CBS, ABC, etc.
Hmm.
Last I checked, over the air is free.
Yeah, and 10 at
So
Walmart for $5.
$5, literally.
HD.
Yeah.
Yeah,
hmm
yeah.
So that's a nice shock and awe clickbait comma by PFT. I'm
Hmm.
talking to you, Mike Florio. I read it, but yeah, it's not true.
Yeah, it's crazy though to think that okay, it's going to be on Amazon Prime, it's going to be on Netflix. Peacock is going to get a regular
hmm
season game in addition to the playoff. I mean, it's wild. But yeah,
It's
I'm with
everywhere.
you.
Yeah.
I mean, I get it. They're killing in the ratings, but are they but are they in danger of maybe overexposure because it loses its specialness, I think, if it's there all the time. It's like Chick-fil-A being closed on Sunday. If they're open up
hmm
every day of the week, it's going to lose some of its luster.
Yeah, but think about, well, when's the last time that you were sitting at home on Christmas and said, "Man, I really want to spend more time talking to my family."
Well, yeah, I get it. And after what they did, the ratings were this past Christmas. Oh, I totally get why you would play.
Yeah.
I was shocked they didn't play 3 games, and find
hmm
somebody else that would kick in 75 mil to do the third game or put it on
Yeah.
NFL Network, which I guess the NFL Network is no longer going to be doing games because
Yeah. Well, and the NFL Network's about to merge with ESPN.
oh, that's right, that's right. Well, that
Yeah.
all heated up and then it kind of stopped. So yeah, I'll be interested
Yeah.
to see what happens with that. But
Well, because
it's
I think we're starting to see it a little bit too. And one of the announcements, and I don't know if you even saw this today, I'm just springing
yeah.
on you. Ed Werder's not at ESPN anymore. He made the announcement. After
Oh
26
really?
years, he's not. Yeah, but he also said that he looks forward to his next opportunity to cover the NFL. So it was probably a decision by ESPN. I don't know if his contract was up or they're letting him go, but that tells
Hmm.
me the NFL Network has their own team reporters, right?
Well, they
And
just
Jamie
churned through some
Slater,
people. Yeah.
yeah, Jamie Slater's been covering the Cowboys for quite a while for the NFL Network. She's probably going to slide into that role. She's obviously younger,
Yes.
more attractive, and
Hmm.
than Ed Werder, and probably a lot cheap, honest, because Werder's
Oh
been doing it
yeah.
for 25 years.
Oh yeah.
So that's why I think that I kind of put two and two together with that. As like, okay, that makes sense. They're going to save some money and try to get more eyeballs just because of what they look like, not necessarily the content that they bring.
No, I mean that makes sense, and I'm sure he's going to. I don't know. There are so many entities covering the NFL. It's not like there's not a job available
Oh, well,
for
how
him.
much would if you own a radio station in Dallas? How much would you pay Ed Werder to come be
Oh,
your cowboy guy?
oh, you couldn't.
So
Yeah, it's if
so.
there is one franchise that is just yeah, you just can't get enough. It's like Peyton Place down there. So
hmm
speaking of the Cowboys, we're about to run out of time. The Dak question: does
Yeah.
a deal get done? Would you do a deal if you're Jerry?
If I'm Jerry, yes. If I'm Dak, I hold their feet to the fire. The
Yeah,
Cowboys got to get it done. Quarterback is the must-have position, and you can't give me 8 to 10 quarterbacks that are better. I mean, in a full season than Dak has been the last couple of years.
but are you paying for the regular season? Or are you paying for playoffs now? Because they're
You don't
all
get to the
in.
playoffs.
They're all in.
You don't get to the playoffs without the way he plays in the regular season, though.
True. I mean, Goff got 221. What do you give Dak?
221 and a half.
Oh, final word.
Did Rasheed Rice